We back. The producers aisle, man. We got another amazing guest on somebody that I played basketball with, grew up with for a while. I mean, since we was what 6, probably even younger. Um, one of my brothers, Vilenti, Tulloch. George, I don't know if you know him, but he Hooper.
Used to be, man.
No, 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 no.
Might be a
Let
little
me
washed.
finish my intro, yo. Let me finish my intro. Hooper changed his game. I see his game now is a little more like cerebral, but step backs, a lot of three. I know your game now.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm saying? His
yeah,
game changed a little bit. But also just a leader in the community, and then also entrepreneur, and then a great visionary for what he's building with ALA, which is his program. He'll talk to us more about it. But yeah, man, Vilenti, appreciate you coming down, talking to us.
Appreciate it, man.
We've been talking about getting him on for a while. You know what I'm
Absolutely,
saying? So I know y'all just connected, but Lent, man, how's everything going? What's going on, man?
Good, man. God is good. Really
good.
busy.
Yeah,
It's been really busy.
yeah,
You talking about basketball growing up. I used to be in his mother's and Umi's daycare, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we used to me, Bill Keys, and my brother, and
Yeah.
like we used to go there after school, man. It's really since
5, 6.
yeah,
Little Tykes hoop.
yeah, man. But listen, really busy, but like I always tell myself, man, like when I was sitting down trying to like map everything out,
Yeah.
like I asked for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like, now at this point, like I feel like I'm doing a lot of like protecting my own time, with family, because everybody's pulling you from different directions.
For
like,
sure.
when you get a little motion, people are like, oh, like he'll be really good for like what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
How can I
yeah.
get him in here to like, help with what I'm trying to do? And
Right.
at this point, like it's like,
How do you stick to your task?
right, and not get too far
yeah,
away.
and before we jump into that, talk to us about how you started ALA, because I mean that's something that I remember early on during the pandemic we had a conversation and you was talking about like what you were trying to do, and I always thought it was a great idea, but the fact that you had the vision to put it through and let it succeed the way it is, like talk to us about those initial early stages of it.
Yeah, it really started like my last year in college. Like I was able to make like really good connections, right? And I ended up doing a couple of internships. I was going crazy. I did like 3 internships at the courthouse. I was doing an internship at DCF, and I was working in residential programs with kids, like all kind of like wrapped around the same type of like idea of like what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then I started my career doing social work.
Yeah.
Got my master's degree in educational psychology from AIC, and then I made that leap to work into a school. Right, I was working as an adjustment counselor. I was a teacher at one point. Culture and climate associates. I was doing a lot of like administrative work at the school, and on top of that, I was doing a lot of like leading different teams, and I was mentoring like a lot of the kids who are struggling, like behaviorally, academically, with attendance, and I was just kind of like informally like working with them, and then like we started tracking data, and we realized like this was like helping the entire school, like working with these students and like kind of helping with their trajectory, with education, like. We saw the impact, and then we started putting systems in place, and it kind of got rolling. We called it the Young Gentlemen's Club out in Southbridge, and then the pandemic hit.
Yeah, you was doing that with Ray.
Yeah.
Shout out Ray.
Dr. Cooper now.
Dr. Cooper.
Yeah. So So he was like the OG man of the building. You know what I mean?
Listen, he was a hooper too. Like the person we talking about, Ray.
Yeah.
He got 2 sons, my cousins. So that's like family, Riyadh and Macau. But nah, Ray, he could hoop too. He could hoop. He could hoop. Do me a favor, yo. Just tilt your hat up so the people can see. Yeah. There we go. Nah, you go.
So Dr. Coop was like really helpful in a sense of like he would always like he was working on his doctorate, but he was also giving me gems and tools along the way of like, hey, like I know you're working with the kids on this, like let's try this, or like, he always was like, we would always have just great conversations. If you ever work in a school, man, you got those late days. You got one or two people, maybe more, that you can really talk to, like on a deep level, and he was one of them. So I really appreciate that. And then the pandemic hit, and we were just kind of home. And I was trying to think of like, I'm servicing these kids, but like I'm driving an hour away, like, and I'm like, I got kids in my backyard that really could benefit from this stuff we're doing out in Southbridge. So, my wife is an MBA, so we were just trying to figure out like, like how to get an LLC first. Like, should we do a nonprofit first? Should we do the LLC first? We ended up getting an LLC, and running around opening up accounts and doing all of like the legwork.
The grunt work.
Yeah, and I remember telling myself, man, this is all gonna pay off. You know what I mean? Because I had to go to like 4 banks, but we ended up doing that, and along this path, I was able to like do a lot of like volunteer work with Keyshawn Dodds over at the Boys and Girls Club. I was just trying out curriculums, like I was trying to create my own curriculum and seeing what worked, what didn't, like what had the most impact. So I was just kind of like volunteering my time doing that. I did some stuff at the South End as well. And then so when it was time to kind of formulate this program, we had kind of already like laid the groundwork, right? We were able to make great relationships in the community with like a lot of people, and and then we were able to get our first contract with Duggan.
Duggan needed it.
Yeah, Michael
Duggan
Calvin
needed it.
Man.
Hold up. I used to substitute teach. This was probably, 2012, 2013. And they sent me to Duggan. Yo, after I was in Duggan for like one day, and then I realized, I said, yo, teaching isn't for me. And then also, like, I'm going back and getting my master's, yo. I'm out of here. I can't do it. I can't do it. It was a lot, yo. So the fact that you went to Duggan and started it, they needed it.
And it gave us a great opportunity to figure out systems, and like a formula. Like this guy, Michael Connolly from the Standout Truck, like one of the greatest things he told me was like, man, you got to create a formula so you can repeat, like, everywhere you go as a business, right? It's like, so we at Duggan, we were just like, able to figure out how many days a week, right, would be most impactful, right? Like how many students can each mentor service, like, and just kind of like figure it out. And Mr. Calvinist gave us an opportunity to kind of like.
Who's that?
The principal over there.
Who was it?
Mike Calvinist.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's still there. So that helped, and then that turned into, at the end of that school year, we ended up working with 4 schools, and that turned into 8 schools, and then now we're, 4 school districts. We're working in 4 school districts. In Springfield, we're in Holyoke, we're in East Long Meadow, and we're in Long Meadow. And next year we're knocking on the door of, of 7 or 8 school districts. So it's And
now, when you're in these districts, how many, like, are you tapped into all the schools, or is it's all the schools within each district?
Not
or?
all of them. Not
Okay.
all of them. Just to, like, we'll go into a school and we'll meet a principal, or it's kind of like. Or usually, like, we like it to happen organically, right? So we'll start at one elementary school, and that principal may have a good relationship with another principal, and they're like, hey, we had this issue, we had this problem at our school with a group of students, and ALA came in, they worked with those students, it was beneficial. You should try it for your students at your school. Yeah. And that's kind of how we kind of grew.
That word of mouth.
Within the district. And then that turned into, hey, like, I know we're in East Long Meadow, but like we could really benefit from the services you provide for our kids, and our teachers too. So we kind of do it that way.
That's major, man. That's major. Like I know when I was in New Leadership, I went to New Leadership was different, you know what I mean, than any school. But I feel like we had that built into our school.
Yeah.
where it was like, all right, listen, we're not gonna suspend you. The days that you were gonna get suspended, you're coming into school, but you're not gonna be in the classroom. You're gonna be in this room where you're kind of working with somebody on like stuff you're doing.
Yeah.
And you know, that really helped. You know what I mean? That really helped me because I you know, everybody gets suspended here and there, but that's important, bro. Like having an outlet where you can go to, somebody you can relate to. First of all, you know what I mean? Because you from Springfield, you're culturally relevant with hip hop and basketball and just who you are.
Yeah.
Bro, that's so important. You know what I mean? I feel like for a lot of the kids, but George knows about new leadership and you know.
And I used to be a teacher as well. Well, I wasn't a teacher. I was a behavior specialist when I first graduated college, came back to Springfield, and like I seen like how they treated kids differently, and it was weird because like I really wanted to talk to them, like restore like the partnerships or not partnerships, like relationships with them, and that was kind of like frowned upon when I was doing it, and they were like, nah, you just need to discipline this kid because they did something wrong and blah blah blah. But why did they do this? Like you gotta figure out like where this came from. You feel me? Like
and that's kind of like where this really like the core of like the work we do is relationships, right? Like I think that's how you truly like build equity, right? For all students, right? To succeed is like having real genuine relationships with students, right? So we're not just like kicking them out of the classroom for something minor, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you know, so we started, right? Like our first couple years, we were working with the students, building relationships. But we noticed they're going right back into the classroom and still struggling, right? Because that relationship with the teacher wasn't there. So this past year, we were able to develop a training on like what we call like relationship building 2.0, right? But really, like, how do you create how do we like have a good relationship with our kids where it's like a push, you're pushing them, but there's also care, right? So it's like a balance of like what Zaretta Hammond, an author, calls being a warm demander to students, right? Challenging them, but also like letting them know you care about them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And then from there, like, how do we like in our classrooms, like, right? So like if we work in a suburban district, right? A lot of times they don't think about like the black and brown students that walk in your classroom. What is it? Is it welcoming for everyone? You know what I mean? Like, do I see like leaders that look like me around the classroom?
Yeah.
Is what we're doing through the curriculum, is it relevant to like what's going on with me? And like, you know, like that's how we kind of, so like there's different ways to just to like talk about what you know, or expand upon what you were saying. It's just like taking a step or a level deeper when as educators, right? And then like ultimately, like we want teachers and us to work in solidarity with students. You ever had a teacher that like, you know, like figure out what you're passionate about and help you like create change in that like
Make all the difference.
Yeah.
All the difference in the world.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I ain't have one of those till college. So yeah.
for real.
All the
And I
difference
didn't
in
see
the
a
world.
black teacher until college. Like a classroom teacher that I would have, I didn't get one until I got the stick.
That's because you went to Long Meadow.
Yeah.
I was about to say you gotta put that part in there though.
That is true.
Nah, I'm joking.
But you know what's funny though? I had one sub
Yeah.
one year in 5th grade, and she like instead of just like kicking me out of class because I was acting out,
Yeah.
she like got on me a little bit. She was like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah,
she was
that
"Take
real talk, like, yo,
right,
what
take your do-rag off. Like, what you acting like a clown. Like,
Yeah.
like I know you're better than this. Like, I know you're that kind of conversation.
Yep.
Ever since then, it kind of like ever since like she had that conversation, I acted different whenever she came around. So, but imagine having somebody every day, every other day, checking in with you, having those conversations, holding you accountable, checking on your grades, getting you to help outside school that you need, right? Like, you know, putting you in different clubs and things like that. And, you know, so.
So do you also train teachers and like coach teachers on how to be those type of people?
It's a great question, George. Yeah, absolutely. If like, you know, one of the things that we offer is like when we come into your school, you know, so we're gonna mentor the students. Like that's like the main thing ALA offers, right? It's like that leadership coaching for students. But on top of that, like the biggest conversation right now is like, you know, the equity piece, right? So like, we want to train teachers on like what their own bias looks like, right? Like, what that unconscious bias, what microaggressions look like in the classroom, right? So all those things, right? And we're building that community in the classroom. We take them through an 8-session series on all of that, right? Like deep work, building a third space for kids, and what that looks like. Restoring relationships, like you're talking about, right? Being vulnerable as teachers, like there was a time I had a kid. I don't want to feel like I'm talking too much, but
Nah, you good.
This is a podcast.
This
You're
is
supposed
this
to
is
talk.
I
yo,
could
this is-
literally talk about this all day. Like it's crazy.
Nah, go ahead.
But there was a situation. I had a kid, and I put it on me because we had a field trip to go see the Thunderbirds. And every year we do it, and the field trip was great. It was fire. The kids always have fun. We end up on the ice. And I get to one of the schools the next week, and I had a third grader. And his behavior was just different. And I'm always like noticing stuff like that. And, he was giving me attitude. I was like, what's up, buddy? He was like, I'm not your buddy. Mind you, we're always tight, right? So, like, I pulled him aside. I'm like, what's up, man? Like, what's the attitude? What's going on? He's like, you forgot about me. You didn't bring me to the field trip that you went to the Thunderbirds game. And at first I wanted to give him some, like, excuse as to why. And I was just like, I just took a step back. I was like, listen, man, like, that's on me. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, I messed up.
Right.
He looked, third grader, small little guy. He just smiled. He's like, it's okay. I was like, how can I make it up to you, though? Like, that's on me.
Yeah.
He's like, just give me some Takis. We're good. He just wanted Takis.
Some Takis.
Think about that, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's teachers holding on to grudges with kids because they disrespected them in October.
Absolutely.
And we're in May.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, man, like,
You came down to his level.
yeah,
You came down to his
like,
level.
That was my problem in the school system too. Like that's why I knew like I couldn't be a teacher because like those systems were in place where like we had to protect each other as teachers instead of protecting the students.
Yeah.
And it was like, nah, like I'm not covering for you after you disrespected this student. Like this student wasn't wrong in this situation. I'm not about to explain to everybody like, nah, this student was wrong. Like, nah, you were wrong, and I'm gonna tell you were wrong.
Yeah.
But then like it got frowned upon like from my boss and everything. Like, nah, you're supposed to cover for your teacher and protect them at all costs, and like you're not supposed to talk bad about them in front of the parents.
yeah.
Like I'm not talking bad about you in front of the parents, but like if I feel like your child wasn't doing anything wrong and this teacher could have handled the situation differently, then I'm gonna let you know like I don't appreciate how it was handled.
Yeah.
But it was out of my hands at that point. Because I'm also not gonna double down and disrespect you and be like, look, I know what this teacher just said to you was not right. But I can have that conversation with your parent though. Like, look, I understand I was there for the situation. This is what happened. Boom, boom, boom. You can go to the principal. You can talk to them or whatever you want to do. But I agree with you, and however you want to do this, we can do that.
Yeah. Listen, man, like I'll be the first to say, like, I'm in like a lot of the schools, and there are some like great teachers out there. You know what I mean? That are like doing like great work, relationship building, and things like that.
Shout out my brother Suleiman. He's a teacher.
That's my guy, man, for real, Suleiman.
Yeah.
But he's another one, right? Like they got the care and push, right? Like he's like kids respect his classroom because I think he gives that respect as well.
Yeah.
But you know, it's that piece of it too, where it's like, at the end of the day, we're forming a village, right? Like it can't be like, you know, I'm good with, you know, the teacher should be able to have that collaboration with the parents as well, right?
Absolutely.
Like, and sometimes teachers mess up, man. Like sometimes, like,
Yeah.
I probably should have called you earlier. You know what I mean? I should have probably brought this to your attention way earlier than like how you're hearing it now.
Right.
You know, and just like we talk about vulnerability with students, right? We should also be practicing that like with the parents as well, right? And just being like okay with like, hey, like how can we partner? You know your kid the best,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of like my go-to when I talk to parents. Is like, hey, you're the expert on your kid. Like, give me some ideas. Like, like help. Let's partner on this. Like, how can we help support our scholar together? You know, and that's kind of like how the village should go. Parents shouldn't just be hearing about bad news. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah, call me when something good's going on.
yeah.
So, right? I don't know if you watch a lot of movies or TV shows.
I'm
Or
all right.
before
He's too
when you were
busy.
younger.
He's too busy.
How
Yeah,
about
he's
not
too
now?
busy
Not
now.
now.
Go
When
ahead,
you was
go
younger.
shoot. Let me see if I'm with. Okay.
So, who's like a movie or television teacher that you could like
Oh,
be like,
good
all
question.
right, that would be a good teacher for me. Like, I'd like to have that teacher.
Mr. Clark.
Who's Mr. Clark?
Lean on me.
Lean on me.
He had like the old school approach.
Yeah, he did.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
like
he
him.
did.
I'm not.
Nah,
gonna
you
lie.
wouldn't like him.
I'm not gonna lie.
He'd tell you to
such a
jump
good-
off.
If
a
he
roof.
try to make me sing in the bathroom, I'll be mad, yo.
Right.
Like start singing.
You know what I was watching the other day? Denzel had a movie, The Great Debaters.
Oh man.
Did you see that one?
Yeah.
I just liked his like, you know.
Great
boring
debaters.
little-
What? How?
Is that the title though?
I don't
Yeah,
know if
it's great debaters.
Okay.
It is okay.
Dang, I'm trying to remember who was in the movie.
No, he had another
Nate-
one.
Nate-
Was it an old school movie?
Yeah, it's like I think it's the '90s. Who's
Oh, nah,
that?
I didn't
Who's
see
that
that one.
actor that played
Oh yeah, it was the Great Debaters. Yep.
Nate Parker? It's not Nate Parker. No.
I'm trying to remember who was in the movie too.
What about anybody from Abbott Elementary? I do like the way the main character comes. I love. She's a little aloof, but she I like the way she cares. You know what I mean?
I was
Like I
working
feel
in
like
a
that's
school-
needed in the school. Like you
Yeah.
need someone that just genuinely cares about bringing people together and
Yeah, they did a home visit one time, and because the kid wasn't going to school, and it was really cool because it's like she went with who's the male actor there?
Gregory.
Yeah.
Tyler or something. Yeah.
Yeah, they went together, and they sat on the couch like, and they were just like, "Hey, what's up?" And the kid essentially was like, I think he said something along the lines of like, "Hey, you're leaving us." Like she was going to work at the district level like office, and he didn't want to come to school because he thought she was something like as simple as that. And it's like, you know, that's one thing that we're doing is like trying to like do more home visits. Like we got a kid who's struggling with attendance. Let's go see how we can go support the family, right? You know, like because those absences sometimes they add up, and like, you know, sometimes it's just a conversation with mom about like, hey, like what's going on at home, or whoever the guardian is. Like,
Yeah.
are you having a hard time with them at night, or like are they getting any sleep, or are they up playing video games? Like what is happening? You know what I mean? There's always like a reason. Like we were saying earlier, there's always a reason as to some of the stuff that happens. So I just thought that episode was cool, man.
yeah, no, that's dope. And the movie that I was talking about was called Hard Lessons with Denzel.
Hard lessons.
It was like 1986. I don't know how I found this movie. I looked it up, but it's called Hard Lessons, and he was a teacher in L.A.
Yeah.
This is like his early on career, but
I
the
seen a
movie's
clip of
pretty
that on
dope.
Facebook.
Yeah, the movie's pretty dope on how he like brings like a new type of energy into the school, and how he connects with the with the students and everything like that. It's pretty dope. Hard Lessons, but all right. ALA, listen.
Yeah.
ALA is, we know, like you doing your thing with it. It's amazing what you're doing. 40 under 40. The all the success, all the notoriety that's coming your way. That's amazing. Cause I saw you kind of the vision when we were talking earlier during the pandemic, and to see everything that's coming together now is amazing. But talk to me about like balance, bro, and just like balance, because you got, I believe you have four kids, 3
Yeah,
kids now.
4 kids,
4 kids. You
yeah.
just had, congratulations,
Just
bro.
had a baby, yeah.
So talk to me about like just balance. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you're working, you're doing ALA, your father, your husband,
Yeah.
you still watch, you tuned into sports,
Yeah.
and then fashion, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You do it. So talk to me about like how you keep your balance and everything, and like,
It's like one of those things that like it needs to be talked about more, man. Like
yeah,
just like as black men, just because I'm just speaking from my experience. Like I think like, that balance is key. Like I was in therapy for a while, and I just called my therapist. Like I stopped going for like a year.
individual therapy, like
Individual
solo,
therapy.
okay.
I just called like on Friday, actually. You know what I mean? I'm like, something's like, I got to get back to like centering myself. You know what I mean? Because like I'm on a ton of, so I'm on the Caring Health board now. Hope I'm saying that right. But I just like I don't know if it's like a hiring thing, but like I'm part of their board now. With so that's with Tanya Barber, Miss Tanya Barber. So like that's something that's really exciting for me. I'm in school. I'm in a doctorate program at AIC. I got this other nonprofit I'm starting up with Black and brown male educators called The Forum. We're trying to keep Black teachers in the field, Black and brown male teachers. We're trying to recruit, retain, because it's better for everybody just to have more Black and brown males in school buildings.
Yeah.
There's not enough. And coaching. So it's just a lot, right? And I notice, like, we got to be better at, like, or just me, like, I have to be better at, like, I'm doing all these things for, like, the community.
Yeah.
But, like, what happens is, like, you get away from, like, damn, we got to go on a date. You know what I mean? Like, the wife, I got to take
Yeah.
the wifey on a
Yeah,
date,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
been
yeah.
too long, like, or just, like, spending more time and being more present. Like, like, my daughter waits up for me, like, at night, and, like, she probably won't even go to bed until, like, she can, like, I walk in the house and she's running down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then I'll bring her up and she's fall right asleep. But I noticed, like, oh, you're waiting for me to come home.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather just be home with you.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right,
Like,
right,
so,
right.
like, I got to figure out and be better at, like, just saying no to things, like, and just being okay with, like,
Yeah.
like, just being more active in the household, right? Like,
Right, right.
my wife has the newborn, right? So, like, she needs help. You know what I mean? So, just me being there is helpful.
But that's always the balance. That's
Yeah.
always the
Yeah.
for me it was when I had my daughter, it was right when I had my daughter, I was working, and then a head coach position, because I was coaching at the
Yeah.
time. It came my way, and I would have had to go to work, then go to practice, and this is like newborn. Go to practice and then come home. So I'm in, and mind you, it's an hour, 45 minutes, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm doing
That's
the
the whole
math. I'm
day.
doing the math, and I'm like, I won't be there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I had to make that decision and sacrifice that. But deep down, it's like, damn, did I really want to sacrifice that? Like, I could have been,
Yeah.
had a nice little position.
Yeah.
But I did. And,
You've been a great head coach, too.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I did, and it was like, I'm seeing the way my daughter is now and how much I poured into her, and
Yeah.
it's like, all right, yo, I see why.
It's- yeah.
I see
Yeah,
why it was.
yeah,
I
yeah.
see it was worth it. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
now, even that balance now between like working, I'm going on 10 years at FedEx doing like sales.
Yeah.
With Shay,
Yeah,
what Shay does,
yeah,
me
yeah,
and Shay
yeah.
do the same thing, and then throwing the Bitcoin Classic,
Yeah.
and then trying to be a father, and then trying to be, with wifey. It's like, it's a lot, bro. So
Yeah,
the
it's
fact
a
that
lot.
all the stuff that you have on your plate, like, I can only imagine, like, the decisions you have to make on a daily basis. Like,
Yeah,
what can
man.
I do? What can I put my energy towards?
Like, I'm always like, can this meeting be virtual? Like, can we just?
Yeah.
Do I have to? You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
it's tough, man. It really is. And I think I want to be more intentional with like my time, right? So like, I'm like, I want to spend more time like outside of like coaching my oldest son, right? Like, I want like Fridays to be our day, right? Or like, so we've been going to like this Connecticut Suns game. Like, we got season tickets, and
Yeah.
that's like our thing recently, where we're
I'm seeing
just
that.
like spending a lot of time on the road, going to the games. Like, that's like that one-on-one time that we get away from being like, because you
Being
get three other kids and you're busy. So like, the oldest always suffers for some reason for us. But and so being intentional and like really mapping out like times to like spend
For sure.
with like the people you love the most. You
Yeah.
know? And shout out to my family, my mom, and everybody who helps out too. Like, that's important too.
Yeah, you got a nice village
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah.
That's dope, bro. Nah, it's like I said, it's always gonna be a balance. You know what I mean? It's always gonna be something that you need to sacrifice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For a means to an end. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like you're at that point where you're starting to, everything's coming in.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I feel like you're at a point right now where it's like, all right, yo, no to that.
Yeah.
No to that.
Yeah,
No to
yeah.
that. You know what I mean? Keep everything.
It sucks too, right? Because I'll get like people like they could use like help sometime. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Or like with their own thing they got going on, like with like, you know, like hey, and I'll get like, hey, I just want to come like pick your brain real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, you know, that's something that like I hate saying no to, because like I knew when I was coming up trying to like put this stuff together, like
You got a lot of people saying no, and you don't want to be that person.
you don't want to be that person.
I deal with that too.
You know,
Yeah,
like
I deal with that too.
you know, so then and then you think about the people that did help you along the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that was cool too. Shoot, I remember we was trying to do during the pandemic, you know, with the political landscape in Springfield and trying to figure that out, you know?
Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Remember that? So this is like, when was this?
It's got to be like in the heart of the pandemic, like
When someone, I forget who, respectfully, I forget who passed away at the time, but then and it was like when the police and like the community
it's the George Floyd thing, right?
It might have been George Floyd.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure, but
it was.
so me and him was just connecting, and then we started putting together like, yo, let's just talk about it. You know what I mean? Let's just talk about it to the community, get people's opinions. And mind you, I've never had. I hosted City of Guards for 7 years in Springfield. You know, the one-on-one tournament. I used to rent out Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
All the profit used to give back in the scholarship just for the community because
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
from right. Used to invite the mayor. Never showed up. Nobody from it responded. Like, yo, I gotta have him come down, talk, do it, whatever. Never responded, right? We did that thing. Why the next day
We got
I'm
a
getting
meeting.
called from people from the mayor, people from this, people from this, people from this. It's like, yo, I've been trying to get y'all to come to this thing that I'm
Yeah,
throwing.
yeah.
Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. But nah, that showed me a little bit of just like the games of it all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so we were trying to, there was a lot of people upset, right, with like the city. And me and Seth were just like, let's get some actionable items on the table, right? Like, let's just figure out some things that we can take away, like, you
That
know.
we could control.
Yeah.
That we could do here that it would be like, okay.
Yeah, you know, because there was, you know, there's people marching and protesting. That was cool, man.
Yeah.
Just to like, you know, and then we wanted to kind of say like, all right, like if we do this though, let's have something,
Yeah.
you know, we can take away from it, you know.
But nah,
Yeah, that was cool.
That was eye opening to see like
Yeah,
just what pushes the buttons.
yeah.
Yo, you ever think about being mayor?
Nah, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. No, so people asked that before. You know
There's
what
a
I
reason
mean?
why they asked that.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's something that like I would like. That would just be like God saying like it's your time to do this right now. You know what I mean? But I don't know. That's big, man. That's like a big thing. That's a big.
I threw you in. I threw you in the mix. It's always interesting because I know leaders and I know people with vision. So
Yeah.
I feel like those people would be good in certain positions.
Yeah,
And it's like I can see it. I can picture it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I see it possibly. I don't know.
I appreciate that, man. Like
No, you built for it. I
Yeah.
see you built for it.
maybe
You
school,
got my vote though.
maybe
Just
school
we're
committee
under here,
first.
but you got my vote. Bro.
maybe school committee, like just to kind of get my shoe in.
Nah,
and
ain't no
figure out-
shoeing. Ain't no shoeing. Ain't no shoeing. Like, you got my vote, bro.
Nah, I appreciate that, man. I remember like Dunbar, and I think I told you this story, and I don't know why I remember it, man. You used to have the fro, and I used to play up. Or I got a chance to play up one time,
Yeah.
or a couple times. And I was just kind of like on the bench, man. Like I didn't get, but they were winning by a lot.
Yeah.
And Steph's going crazy, and I'm just like the young boy just watching. And I think at one point he was just like, I know you wasn't really tired, but like you just pointed to me like to Coach Rocks. He was like, "Yo, put Len in. Like I'm tired, man." You know, and like I had the opportunity to play.
Yeah.
But I think that like you've always been like that. You know what I mean? Where you
Yeah.
just like you've always you wanted to see other people get a chance or an opportunity. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like you meet great people along the way when you're in this work, and then you meet some people like, yeah, you know, I don't
Right.
know. You know,
Right,
if you, but like the people you meet that like you have genuine relationships along the way, man, that really truly want to help you, like you gotta hold on to those.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like I'm still that way now, where it's like if anybody got something that I feel like with the Bitcoin Classic, which is kind of it's growing. I feel like anybody with a dope platform, it's like, yo, let's.
Yeah.
How can we?
That's how I got on.
Yeah, like would you do that? Okay, bro, do it here.
Yeah.
You know, because it might broaden your audience a little bit.
That's how it should be, man.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
We
So we passed 30 minutes, right? But I mean, this is a good conversation. I know you have a lot of stuff going on. Talk to me. Last question. Like, what's your brands like? The fashion wise, like I know you dress, bro. So talk to me about like who's your favorite designers right now? What you like wearing? Like what's your talk to me.
Recently I got a lot of Supreme, man, in my closet.
Mm-hmm.
And it had like the problem with Supreme is like the website they'll upload stuff on the website.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to my phone, I go on there, and then it's gone. Like,
Sell out.
Oh yeah.
Yo, it's crazy. I'm like, who's buying? But they're reselling all this stuff.
Yep. Yep.
On like Goat and StockX. But like recently, man, you know what's crazy though? Like right now, I'm in this. I need more suits. You know what I mean? Like and
I noticed that too. I do need more suits.
Yeah,
I'm getting to
and
be an adult.
watches. So I just been like really into watches like recently.
Really.
Yeah, like so that's kind of like recently what I've been into. But every time I buy something, you know, my wife always has like a comment about like some of this stuff. But every time I buy something, I feel like, dang, like I need to
chill.
I've been like preaching this whole financial literacy stuff. I need more property. You know what I mean? Like, I need to invest in like So
I mean, some clothing is investing now because you can resell it too. So it's like you get a wear and then you can resell it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like I like essentials.
Essential, that's comfy.
Just a comfy I'm dadding all weekend, coaching. You know what I mean? So we may go to a Celtics game. That's probably or anything I have the opportunity to like dress up, I'll do it. But a lot of that stuff just sits in my closet, man. It's crazy.
Speaking of the Celtics, so he texted me the other day. He's like, is Joe Mazzulla a top 5 coach? And I said no.
He doesn't get enough credit, man.
I think he's a good coach. Top 5. I mean, I feel like
top 5 of all time.
No.
No,
Just this year.
right.
Just this year.
Oh.
Just this year.
Just this year.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm in the NBA. I feel like players have
For
such
this year. I'll give it to him though.
This year, I think he just has better players. You had a good team.
I just feel like to really talk basketball, like I just feel like in this playoffs, like he's able to scheme around the Mavericks and what they're trying to do. Like so far, at first it's only one game, better than anyone else has, right? Like in all season, they've been far and beyond the best team in the league, right? And there's something to say about that being his brand of basketball, right? Like where the ball is moving, like.
Yeah, I did say that. I did say the fact that Tatum is passing the ball, driving, not so like 3-point dominant. I think that goes to that goes to the head coach.
Getting
that goes to that
somebody
coach.
like I mean, Drew Holiday is like just an amazing, like that's Shay's favorite player.
Yeah.
But like the way he defends, but he's taking on a role offensively. Like he's almost taking a step back, but it works.
Yeah.
You know, for what they're trying to do, and like we gotta give Joe some credit, man. Like
No, I give him credit because a big part of like this is what I think NBA coaching is like managing personalities. It's not as much X's and O's. You know what I mean? As a head coach,
yeah,
I feel like you're managing personalities, getting them to, when you have a team like the Celtics have, is getting them to dial back that ego.
Yeah.
That, all right, damn, I need to score 20. I need to score 30. Like, let it come in the flow.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that and you're controlling that, I feel like that's your job. But
It's a
the
leader.
X's and O's is not.
he's their leader.
I don't feel like the X's and O's is like, I feel like anybody can go in and do that. You know what I mean? But the personality building and all that,
Yeah.
I would say, if I don't know what he's doing, but I feel like he's doing a good job with the personality control.
Yeah.
Yeah. But top 5, I don't know.
If he wins the championship, he has to be considered top 5 right now. No?
I give it to him after that. If he wins
Thank
the
you,
championship, there's something different that happened this year,
All right.
coaching wise.
I mean, we do got a great team, though.
You got a great what? We got a crazy team. Drew Holiday, Porzingis,
Is it
Tatum,
an all-time team,
Brown.
though? If we win, it's got to be an all-time.
They listed the top players in the finals, and it was possibly Luka, Tatum, Kyrie's in there, and then the next 4 or 5 players was all Celtics
Yeah.
players. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I believe. My fault. Last thing.
Oh no.
Malcolm or Martin?
Malcolm, man.
Okay.
Well, is it just that? Like,
And I
is
just
it
saw that.
either or?
That's a deep question that's gonna add to the
Deep
pod. But
question.
that's a real deep
Let me
question. But
tell
he
you-
had the hat, so I was asking.
I read his book, man, when I was graduating from my undergrad, from Westville, and I was having a kid at the same time.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, his autobiography, like, it taught me stuff that, like, I never learned as a man growing up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I
Like,
definitely
and just
feel that.
standing on, like, things that you are truly passionate about.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, man, yeah. So
No, I
definitely
thought.
Malcolm.
I'm a Malcolm guy too. I like Martin, but Malcolm, I feel like there's brainwashing is real. Like,
Yeah.
you can brainwash somebody. You know what I mean? I feel like he was brainwashed until he saw the light,
Yeah,
and then once he saw the light, people came in and was like, "Listen, we don't want you seeing that light." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that what Malcolm was, and I feel like if his voice was towards like his own agendas after he saw like his vision,
yeah.
then he would have been even bigger. But nah, I'm a big Malcolm guy too.
Yeah, man.
But yeah,
He
I
didn't get a
just-
chance to like really.
No.
He had a couple organizations that he was running. That if they really, but he was just like doing a lot at the time too. Like, can you imagine like death threat? Imagine trying to run an organization. You know what I mean? Getting death threats from here, there. You know, you traveling back, meeting with like the United Nations, trying to advocate for Black people in the U.S., and then coming back and getting death threats and trying to
It was a
crazy.
lot.
Can you imagine that? Like,
It was a lot. It was too much. It was too much.
yeah.
But nah, this was a dope episode. The producers aisle. We got somebody that's producing at a high level.
Thank you.
ALA. Make sure y'all tune into him and check out Vilenti's program.